I'm here to do a quick review on Napoleon. Now, Ridley Scott has to have one of the worst attitudes when it comes to movie making and movie directing. Now, when people go around and say you wasn't there, so how the fuck you know? You know that they're basically saying they have a license to do some bullshit, which is what happened because Ridley Croc like ruined so many things about Napoleon, like the siege in Egypt, in which Napoleon is the person who founded the I forgot what the stone was called. It was called the Rosetta Stone. So yes, the Rosetta Stone is found by Napoleon. He's the reason why we have Egyptology and how we know what the pyramids even say or what hieroglyphics even fucking say. It's thanks to Napoleon, and you show him destroying the pyramids. Like I thought like maybe there was going to be a scene in which Napoleon knocks off like bits and pieces of the Egyptian nose. Since you're feeding into conspiracies, like what the hell are you talking about? Napoleon didn't destroy the pyramids. In fact, Napoleon loved the pyramids. He had great respect for Egypt. He had a very long quote in which he said that his troops had to respect Muslims and respect the native people there, and that he was freeing them, not causing more and more colonialism. And you show him escaping Egypt for what? Pussy? No, he escaped Egypt because his people were starving to death because of the dysfunction of France. So he had to make his way down to France after he escaped Egypt. Now, if you wanted to show Napoleon truly doing some tragedy in Egypt or in the Middle East, then may I suggest the French assault on Jaffa? Like Napoleon literally like killed like a whole bunch of civilians, prisoners of war. This happened in Jaffa. But if you actually look that shit up instead of, I don't know, making up stuff, you have this confusing little scene where Napoleon was in Egypt. He shot cannons at the pyramids and then he destroyed the pyramids. This is absolutely fictional. Like, dude, what were you doing? Like, you could have talked about the siege in Jaffa where he murdered a bunch of people, like literally had a bunch of prisoners and murdered him. I mean, that was one thing you could have talked about rather than just make stuff up in which you show him like destroying the pyramids. And I'm telling you, this movie Napoleon was like the female superhero of all movies. Like, why the hell is Napoleon just have no emotion, no soul whatsoever? Like, I thought this was like a female superhero or something. Like, I don't know what people's idea of like, oh, we gotta make show this character as strong, so they're gonna be emotionless, dull, like very pasty faced, like fucking like I thought I was watching Captain Marvel when I was watching Napoleon. And what was up with this dude being like fucking 40 years old for 4 decades? Like, this covered Napoleon's whole entire life. So he was like from 20 to 60, but he was looked like he was stuck at 50 for the whole entire movie. And I know Joaquin Phoenix can act, but it's like he was just dying for a Razzie when it came to this movie. And let me tell you something. It feels like Napoleon was fucking autistic in this movie. Like, no disrespect to the disabled community, but it looks like instead of Joaquin Phoenix being cast for Napoleon Bonaparte, he was cast for Napoleon Dynamite. Like, this movie was fucking dull as hell. And you have, I call him like, I don't know, I call him like cuckoldian, like him and Horror Fiend. Like, it really portrays his wife as a tramp. And I didn't live there. Maybe she was a tramp. But I'm saying, like, dedicating half of this movie to his whoredom or her whoredom was a really bad idea. Like it's stupid. Like I had hesitance when watching this movie because having a British person like direct Napoleon is like having the state of Israel direct a fucking biography on Hitler. You know they're going to be biased. You know that they're going to like somehow portray this guy as an idiot, but somehow he won like several hundred battles. Like, it's like bragging that a midget beat you up. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Like, I know you don't like the guy, but he won tons and tons of battle. Why are you making him look like an idiot? Especially you making him look like a cuckoldian. Like, you're making one of the most important battles ever look like he left it for some poo-tang. And why in this movie is there's no context when it comes to battles? It's like Ridley Scott said to himself, okay, so for every battle, Napoleon did over 60 battles. So let's instead of like name the battles, we just try different fields. We're gonna have a fucking battle in the snow. We're gonna have a fucking battle in the grass. We're gonna have a fucking battle in the mud. And why is none of these armies look like they're armies of the 1800s? Why are people spread out? The whole trench warfare thing where people were spread out, like one person was 60 feet away, one person was 200 yards away, was because there was machine guns. So of course you couldn't be like all clunched up together. But before machine guns was popular during war, people would just line up like shoulder to shoulder and then just keep on going down, keep on shooting. There was none of that in this movie. Like what the fuck? Like it was absolutely trash. This movie is pretty garbage. I'm shocked that Ridley Scott would make a like one of the worst movies of the year. Like epic fail. It seems like 2013 was the year of flops. Like everybody, they just got out of COVID and they were like, okay, so COVID passed about a year or two. Now let's release all of our movies. Let's release all of our movies that we were like hibernating. And, it's the writer's strike. So I know that a lot of the creative writers, a lot of the creative activity that comes wasn't being like dipped into the movie. And it shows because these movies are trash, especially Napoleon. It doesn't even deserve to be called Napoleon. I called it Cuckoldian because the dude really it really makes it look like that he was just pussy obsessed. He was insecure, and most of his family doesn't even get mentioned. There was like one scene of his brother, and it was confusing. He pulled out a knife and said, "If my brother would turn into a dictator, I would kill him right now." And then we never see the dude ever again. It was insane. We never seen the dude ever again. Like after he pulled out his little knife, and this movie is a 2.5 hour movie, and it feels like it's 4 hours because actually it kind of feels like it's 20 minutes because it kind of feels like they put his whole life on fast forward. Like you just have bits and pieces of his life. You have no context, so who cares about this battle? Why is this battle important? Who fucking knows? Like they have a battle in the nighttime, a battle in the summer, a battle in snow. It just feel like they're doing different environments. Like it was just a geography course. Like they just decided, okay, guys, we're gonna have our Napoleon kill people in snow, summer, winter, fall. Like all the seasons get a Napoleon killing somebody, and Napoleon looks like he went through a midlife crisis when he's 20. And this dude had a hell of a life. He had like seven siblings and a single mother he needed to support with his check. Josephine was actually older than Napoleon because back in French times, you could be kept from being drafted in the military if you get married. So a bunch of young men got married to elderly women. So it was the trend at the time. Like France was all about its cougars and MILFs and stuff like that. Because if I was 17, I'll marry a 30-year-old just to get out of going to war. But Napoleon was the one that stopped that. But he was part of the trend. He married Josephine. She was older. She had two kids. But it seems like that Ridley Scott did the reverse. Like he had Napoleon be old as hell, and he had Josephine seems to be younger, but yet she cannot bore children for some reason. Oh yeah, and also the butt shots and butt sex for some reason that's in the movie. Just to make him look like a cuck, I guess. But yeah, this movie's trash. I would say it's the worst biography I ever seen in my life. Please do not see it. Bye.